Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. In just a little while, the 2024 Animation Chronicles will be released in the OCG. Archetypes never before seen in paper, and support for those that have make their way into the game, ranging from the utterly ineffectual to the groundbreakingly broken. And despite all the years we've gone without an anime, at least one based on original Yu-Gi-Oh!, there are still a ton of archetypes to pull from, especially in vrains. Armado's Legio and drones are two that I hear bandied about quite often, so that means this time around we're getting support for a level monster that came out in 2006. Premiering in the November 2006 core set, Cyberdark Impact, Allure Queen is a line of level monsters that seek to subjugate monsters of a lower station using their lifeless husks to grow in power, but like just about every level monster of the time, they blowed chunks, and so went into hibernation until they were resuscitated in vrains, where they were used as the deck of choice for Queen, one of the ringleaders of the villainous Soul Technologies. She'd been around since day one, stuck around for about 100 episodes, dueled exactly one time against I, then got put into a coma. But now, all of her cards are available to the masses, not just the rich and famous. And we might have a problem here. These cards are actually really good. So gather your royal bearing and get on a new level, cause it's time for Allure Queen Explained. Today's episode is brought to you by my lovely patrons, as well as the wonderful people over at Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. So, what's the deal with Allure Queen? Well, it's a series of dark attribute spellcaster monsters, and the core line is actually pretty simple to wrap your head around. All of them, during the main phase, take a monster your opponent controls that's equal to or lower than the original level of the Allure Queen and equips it to themselves, and they can only equip a single monster at a time with that effect. But only our lowest one, level 3, can do that without any kind of setup. All subsequent monsters in the line need to be summoned by the effect of the previous form to use that effect. If the queen would be destroyed by battle, the equipped monster is destroyed instead, and during your standby phase, by sending this card to the graveyard while equipped with a card via its own effect, you special summon the next monster in line. Allure Queen level 3 has 500 attack and defense, and has a level 5 and 7 version, growing to 1000 and 1500 attack and defense respectively. This means we can absorb progressively higher monsters, though we do cap out at 7, and sadly, we don't get any additional effects from reaching the zenith of our power. So between a rather underwhelming take on Relinquished and a lack of real power, you can see why this didn't really take off. To help with this though, the Allures were given Queen's Bodyguard, a level 4 Earth Warrior monster with 1700 attack and 1200 defense that keeps Allure Queen monsters on your side of the field from being selected as attack targets. They aren't especially powerful themselves, but are still stronger than a fully grown Allure Queen, and they don't come with any other bonuses or advantages. It makes sense, the base Allure Queens need to steal a monster and keep it around for an entire opponent's turn, so while the absorbed monster does count as a kind of battle shield, even surviving that battle means you have to try all over again until next turn. But in this humble commentator's opinion, you're better off running more permanent removal than hoping your opponent doesn't summon anything that has more than 1700 attack. Though I can't fault the drip, the queen knows how to outfit the soldiers. Heck, the head one even has a unique color scheme to set them apart from the rest. For how dodgy the cards themselves are, they went all out on the art itself. Now I've just got to find myself a pair of those kickin' shades. But now, all of that has been turned on its head. Let's take a look at some of the new cards we're gonna see in the Animation Chronicles. Golden Allure Queen, great choice of color by the way, is a Link 3 Dark Spellcaster monster with 2500 attack, requiring 3 Spellcaster monsters as material. If this card is Link summoned, you can special summon an Allure Queen monster from your deck or grave, and if you do, this card gains 1500 attack until the end of the next turn. You can activate the effects that equip monsters to themselves and then have Allure Queen in their original name as quick effects, and once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you can destroy a card on the field. Also, Allure Queen monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects for the rest of the turn. this card is going to be a priority to get onto the field, as it not only jumpstarts your plays, it makes our monsters actually playable. Being able to scoop up monsters at quick speed means we can actually interrupt our opponent's plays, and if they have any valid targets, if they get rid of our battle shield, we can just steal another. And if that was it, this would already be a staggeringly powerful boss for the deck. But not only does this give you a turn with a 4000 attack monster, it lets you retaliate with destruction if your opponent activates anything and gives your Allure Queen's effect destruction protection for that whole turn. Honestly, I can see the allure now. Allure Dance is a continuous spell card that, when activated, adds an Allure Queen monster or an Allure Palace from your deck to your hand. Each Allure Queen monster you control gains attack equal to the attack of monsters equipped to it by its own effect, and you can send one other spell or trap card you control to the grave to special summon as many Allure Queen monsters with different names as possible from your grave. You can only use this effect of Allure Dance once per turn, and you can only activate one Allure Dance per turn. That last effect will actually be very helpful when it comes to summoning Golden Allure Queen, because if you have all three of our main deck variants in the graveyard, you can link them all together. And it gets even better when Golden Allure Queen is in the grave, because then you can summon it alongside the others, and that means very easy access to Link 4s. The attack gain effect is also very welcome, giving our little sages some actual staying power, with the search on activation giving us just the right card we need, including Palace, which we'll get into in just a bit here. Gotta say though, they really nailed this new crossover with ABBA. You know, cause now we have the Dancing Queen. Allure Palace is a field spell card that grants all spellcaster monsters you control 500 attack and defense. You can send a card from your hand to the graveyard to take an Allure Queen monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it to your opponent's field. In effect, you can use up to a thrice per turn. It also gives the following effect to all Allure Queen effect monsters you control. You can send this card equipped with any number of cards via its own effect to the graveyard to special summon a spellcaster monster with 1500 or less attack from your hand or deck. Now, it's worded like that to allow for swifter level ups. Now, we don't have to wait until the standby phase, we can just level them up as soon as they meet the requirements. And because it's that monster's own effect that's doing it, you can go from 3 to 5 and 5 to 7, while enabling the effects of monsters further down the chain. Though, because it gives the 1500 or less spellcaster window to cover all of the Allure Queens, we can look outside of our theme for some extra help. This includes a variety of, Altergeist monsters, some Albaz staples like the Ecclesias, Blazing Cartesia, and Quem, many of the Magispectors, and Jaugen the Spiritualist if you're looking for a special summon lockdown. And all of them getting a 500 attack and defense buff is a nice bonus to help keep them in combat. However, the most important effect is the one that trades one of your cards for an Allure Queen, specifically the part that summons to your opponent's side of the field. Why? Well, we can give our Allure Queens all the fancy effects we want, but it's not going to mean much if we don't have any monsters to actually take. Even ignoring all the Xyz and Link monsters out there and, well, just plain having a higher level than our Allure Queens, they may just not have any monsters at all. This card solves all those problems by giving your opponent little Allure Queens we can scoop up and gets us all the way up to level 7 by itself because we can use it 3 times. The first activation gets us level 3 onto the board, second gives our opponent a level 3, we scoop it up and turn into level 5, then use the third activation to give our opponent a level 3 or 5, then scoop that one up so we can rank up to level 7. There's gotta be something in here about the aristocracy eating itself alive to gain power, but I'm not feeling too political this episode, so we'll drop it. And that's all the Allure Queen cards. Wow, this is going to be a bite-sized episode. So what do we do with them? Well, the main focus is going to be to get out Golden Allure Queen, and from there we can let our little minion queens do the work. First, we have to find a way to assemble 3 spellcasters quickly and easily, then overwhelm our opponent with massive force to close things out. So what can we play to help them out? The current frontrunner for supporting theme is Whitewoods. They all fall under the 1500 attack threshold and have a lot of great synergies with spellcasters. Reset plus any Whitewood spell or trap card gets you to 3 spellcasters, Reset gets you Asteria, and Asteria gets you Ursia, and that's everything you need for Golden Allure Queen. And both Ursia and Silva can revive themselves from the graveyard by recycling a Whitewood Synchro monster, potentially giving you more material to work with down the line. There's also the interaction our stolen monsters will have with our Whitewoods. Once we equip a monster, it becomes treated as an equipped spell, meaning we can send it to the graveyard as cost for a Whitewoods monster effect. And while the stealing effect is a soft once per turn, as long as we have that quick effect, we can still steal during our opponent's turn before leveling up again. This also means we can make great use of Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. Since the Whitewoods are so good at making level 6 Synchro monsters, they can summon Muddy Mud Dragon, which can then fuse with any Whitewoods monster to make it. Now we can start summoning not only our Allure Queens from the graveyard, but also monsters small enough for them to absorb. Alternatively, you can make Lubellion if you only have Whitewoods monsters in your graveyard and nowhere else. God, Muddy Mud Dragon is so cool. Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, also makes for a great Link 3. It's easier to do so since it can be made with 2 material instead of Golden's 3 and can generate more materials with sufficient spell counters. Turning our opponent's monsters into ones we can absorb is going to be really good against opponents that have a lot of those Link and Xyz monsters. Sadly, just about every monster we would use for that purpose is too high leveled for anything but level 7 to absorb, those being Santa Claus, Volcanic Queen, and the Kaijus Radiant and Kumungus. Our only other option would be to run Geonator Transverser. That way we can take one of our smaller Allure Queens and swap it for one of our opponent's big ones, no matter what kind of monster it is. Then we can just absorb the little queen with one of our own. Since we have our own field spell, this one doesn't have the same kind of ease of use as previous times we've brought this up, but locking out spell cards is pretty strong, so I've gotta recommend Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Someone has got to ban this card already, if only for the fact that I won't have to mention it in every Spellcaster video I make. Alright, that's everything I have on Allure Queens, but how do they stack up against the Nova scale? Novelty. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has had a lot of fun turning monsters into back row recently. Equips and continuous versions abound, and using it as disruptive monster removal is nothing new. While I do appreciate the gumption of cranking up the dials on such an old theme to make it a legitimate threat nowadays, we've been doing stuff like this since Full Metal Foes Alcahest, so Allure Queens get a 2 in Novelty. Objectivity. As with all legacy support, part of the problem is that it's attached to old, failing card design. And while the new cards are very strong, the core gameplay is still focused around the original Allure Queens. And if you can't find any of the new stuff, the old stuff doesn't stand a chance. And even the upgraded version, at worst, has some new tricks that aren't going to be rocking the boat, so Allure Queens get a 5 in Objectivity. Versatility. While the core of our deck is small, I feel we won't be supplementing any themes anytime soon, if only for the fact that our lines of play can cost so much. We'll take all the spellcaster support we can get, obviously, but even though Golden Allure Queen can be made with any 3 spellcasters, the amount of bricks you have to run to make its game plan work is kind of atrocious, so Allure Queens are only getting a 2 in Versatility. Awesomeness. But I've got a big soft spot for stuff like this. Taking such a drastic approach to modernizing an old theme lets us see the cards in a new light with the benefit of modern design, and they clearly took lessons from Armed Dragon Thunder when it came to making the level mechanic work. I'm giving them a 5 in Awesomeness, which means Allure Queens get a 14 out of 20 on the Nova scale. And that's all I have to say about Allure Queens. It may not be the theme we wanted to see from Animation Chronicles, but it is fun to see such an old, looked over theme get overhauled like this, and gives me hope that other such pieces of legacy support can get similar treatment in the future, because it's always better to see new cards do cool things rather than be boring and ineffectual. You really have to seize these moments when they come up, because you never know when they're going to show up again. They really are golden opportunities. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Is every Allure a queen, or do we take the if she levels up, she's a thought approach? This is also normally where I'd ask which one is your favorite, but we already know the answer to that one. So instead, let me know what your favorite thing about Golden Allure Queen is. And if you haven't already, please be sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and share this video with somebody you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Today's episode is brought to you by my lovely patrons, as well as the lovely people over at Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. Today's episode is also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Simic Toadstool and Upstairs Media, Nebula Navigators 3rd Dynasty, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Owexitowa Yume, Anansi Dragon, Andrew Newman, Kane Senpai, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Emony Chan, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Gloomba 331, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Howling Zangetsu, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Mana Charge, Marion James E. Picata, Mega Combi, Millennia Asta, Nathan Vig, Natiel Lee Alexander, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sammy Haim, Scott 48, Serenity Towns, Skybuster Leo, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders, a Random Pup, Ariel Kersey, Baron Von Titty Sprinkles, Beelsifer, Burnag, Blitzwolf, Borger with a Shotgun, Chaz Ghost, Childish Lamar, Dr. Reaper R.I.P., Drachenwald, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Ignis the True Draco Slayer, Jester Designs, Kale the Dragon, Kevon Public, Lemon Yu-Gi-Oh!, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Matt Simmons, McSpoofy, Michael Shimabukuro, Nitromo, Nyx, Obsidian, Shizuki Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Stephen Williamson, Taylor Seymour, Terror Top to 3, The Legendary Raven, The Pokemon 52, Tiger X2476, Visor KG, Zaldreka and Zalus, as well as the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, and be a part of these credits, along with other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description, or consider joining as a YouTube member. And if you'd like to see this deck's best friend, check out this video where I cover White Woods. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Gotta say though, they really nailed this new crossover with ABBA. You know, cause now we have the Dancing Queen. Young and free. Level 17. Don't add that in. I had to say, don't add that in.